This is KTBS 3 News Weekend.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Carmen Lofton. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Carmen Lofton. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Carmen Lofton. Hochatown is the site of a historic Choctaw village. Some of those people still live here in the area, making it the perfect place for Choctaw landing. We're here in Kellyville, Texas, north of Marshall, Texas, where we're told a possible tornado traveled this way, east up Texas 49, snapping and uprooting several large pine trees. We're then told that that same storm traveled north, causing more damage, where you can see a crew is working to clean up.
A Homer man is accusing the Claiborne Parish Sheriff of wrongly detaining and injuring him during an arrest of another suspect. Carmen Lofton traveled to Homer to get to the bottom of what exactly happened here. Carmen.
Bill, Ladarius Curry says the actions of Sheriff Sam Dowies last week are an example of why he should not be in charge. I spoke to Curry and the sheriff himself about what happened in Homer on Tuesday, March 14th. 35-year-old Ladarius Curry says he was asked to help a friend in this home on Pearl Street in Homer. The woman who lives there is married to a suspect in a shooting incident. Curry was asked to come to the home before police arrived to detain her husband because the wife feared for her safety. During the arrest, Curry was detained even though he was not the suspect. That's when he says things took a turn for the worse.
And in the midst of me being detained, I feel like I was, racially profiled and mishandled just because I was a black man, in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Curry says Claiborne Sheriff Sam Dowies arrived at the scene and proceeded to treat him like a suspect.
Sheriff Sam Dowies himself walked up on me, being all arrogant. Is he in there? Is he in there? And I tell him, I say, I don't know if he's in there. That ain't my job to know if he's in there. That's your job. You go see. And he got if you're in there, I'm going to arrest you for this and that. I say, man, you can't arrest me for nothing because I ain't did nothing. And in the midst of that, he got rude with me and started handling me kind of rough to the point to where he rushed me up against the wall. And when he brushed me up against the wall, I guess that's when he messed my shoulder up.
Curry says he made law enforcement aware of his injuries. And that's when he says he was transferred to a different police vehicle.
Moved me from a sheriff unit to the Homer Police Department unit and told the police department to take over. And all of a sudden, he disappeared.
Curry now wears a sling on his arm and says over the last few days he's been to the hospital several times for injuries to his shoulder and collarbone. He also says he and his family members have been on the receiving end of threats and pressure from the sheriff. We called Sheriff Dowies, and his recollection of the incident is much different from Curry's.
Ladarius, who'd you say he was? Ladarius who?
Ladarius Curry.
Okay. Well, you might need to get Ladarius Curry to a mental hospital and try to figure out what's wrong with him. Tell Ladarius Curry, if he's the one making these allegations, tell him he is more than welcome to come see me at my office on Monday morning. We'll sure sit down and talk about it, but I don't have any idea what he's talking about.
Okay, are you able to tell me where you were around that time?
Ma'am, let me tell you something. Number one, I have no respect for the news media. Number two, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm all over the place. I'm the sheriff of Claiborne Parish, and I'm all over. Okay, so Ladarius Curry, if he's got some issue with me and Homer Police about somewhere he was and somewhere where he was mishandled, he needs to come sit down and talk to us. I want you to know, I don't care what you're recording or nothing, okay? Because I don't have any faith in the news media because it's all fake news, okay?
All right, thank you. The sheriff's account of events also directly contradicts what witnesses saw, including Homer Police Chief Van McDaniel. He says he didn't see the sheriff get rough with Mr. Curry, but he can confirm Dowies was present on the scene.
Sheriff Dowies came around me and parked somewhere right here in this general area. Had a detective with him. Yes, I can verify it. I mean, he was standing right there on the carport. He had made mention of going to get his vest put on.
Though recollections may vary, a march was planned to bring attention to the incident and call for the removal of the sheriff. But when residents heard that we had contacted Sheriff Dowies, that march was canceled. Several people I talked to said they are intimidated by the sheriff. Curry's injuries have made it impossible to do his job as a truck driver, and now he's focused on next steps. He says he won't be intimidated by the sheriff, and he plans to take legal action, Bill.
KTBS 3's Carmen Lofton joins us now to show us some of those properties and explain exactly how one neighbor feels about these demolitions, Carmen.
Bill, the city recently spelled out the mayor's plan to tackle blight in Shreveport. I spoke to a neighbor who says she agrees with the city's response.
I've been in this area about 15 years.
Tanya Bradley says when she first moved to the Lakeside neighborhood, her street was filled with responsible homeowners. But over the years, many of her elderly neighbors either passed away or have been burned out of their homes, leaving several blighted properties behind.
There are some homes that the homeowners could prepare and do repairs on.
The word blight refers to a disease infecting plants, but municipal leaders have used it to describe properties like this one that, if left unaddressed, could infect an entire city.
It is my belief, and I think that most people's experience will substantiate that when you have blighted neighborhoods, they become breeding grounds for crime.
4 properties on Portland Avenue alone are set to be demolished. They're a part of a group of 35 properties selected by property standards and approved by Mayor Tom Arsenault. The move an attempt to take action and combat negative overall opinions of the city.
It makes people feel better about where they live, and they know that the city is taking some positive action to improve their neighborhood.
Property Standards has been instructed to take an aggressive approach when it comes to addressing blight. Mayor Arsenault says it'll send a message to property owners.
But what we hope is that by actually engaging in the demolition process, we will encourage others to avoid it.
For homeowners who take pride in their neighborhood, it's a sign the city is on their side.
The homes that need to be demolished, yes, I'm happy to know that they're going to take them down. I think the homeowners should board it up or get some assistance. There are grants and programs that could help them. So if they could save the homes, but if not, yes, tear it down.
And it'll be up to Property Standards to make sure ownership has not changed for any of those properties. And as long as ownership has not changed, then demolition will begin in 30 days, Bill.
$12. Continue as a guest.
Over the years, Brookshire Grocery Arena has hosted concerts, sporting events, rodeos, and more.
License plate number. I gotta go get my license plate number.
But for the first time, event goers paid to park there, and they weren't happy about it.
I've lived in Shreveport Bossier my whole life, and they have never done this.
General parking at Brookshire Arena will now set you back $12.
I think it's ridiculous because we already pay for concerts and stuff like that, events.
And then the drinks and food on the top of it are for a 20-ounce bottle of Dr. Pepper is already $6.
I think it's ridiculous.
According to the arena's website, cash will not be accepted, but a contactless payment system is available. And if you don't want to download the app, there are signs like this throughout the parking lot with scannable QR codes, or you can text this number to pay for parking. But what happens if you forget to pay? The new parking system will scan your license plate. When you arrive, the parking fee gets billed to the address registered to the vehicle. If your license plate is different from the one you registered with, you can simply change it on the app. You could even pay for multiple cars at once and also pay ahead of time the day of. I mean, it's $12 this year.
That's a lot, and we're already having to pay a lot to go into this concert.
It's safe to say this fee wasn't well received, but fans say a few bucks won't keep them from future events.
It's not going to stop me. I'm still going to go to concerts and stuff like that, but it's not going to stop me for sure. It definitely sucks. It's just another way, I think, for them to make money.
This is a brood frame. All of this brown cappings of wax, those are baby bees.
They're small, diligent, and the result of their work is oh so sweet. But these buzzing bees are disappearing, according to scientists and beekeepers.
Well, honeybees are one of the few insects that produce a food that we can eat.
In 1986, William Hummer started this honey farm as a 4-H project in the 5th grade. Since then, his operation has grown. But in recent years, he's noticed a significant decline in his bee population.
We call it CCD, colony collapse disorder, and it's really been affecting us every year. Every year we lose more and more of our bees. It means that we have to make up more and more of our bees. So it's a harder process to keep a good number.
This year, Hummer and Son had to make up for the loss of nearly 1/3 of their operation. Williams says there are several factors working against the bees.
It's a lot of factors. We've become such a global economy that we're getting pests from all over the world. Honeybees are not native to the United States, nor are the pests. So right now we're fighting the varroa mite, which is an external parasite that lives in the brood of the bees, and it is the major problem that we're faced with.
There's also another factor that beekeepers have no control over: the weather.
When it's cool, the plants aren't producing as much nectar as the bees need. So it makes it tough for us to really grow them fast. So with the new colonies, weather plays an important part not only in the plant's production, but also in the bees' ability to fly.
Bees like these are extremely important for agriculture. Without them, plants and vegetables wouldn't be able to be pollinated, and that's a major hit to our food supply. The United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization says pollinators like bees are responsible for about a third of the world's crop production, meaning the practice of beekeeping is becoming vital to the health of our environment.
It is a very important job. It's important, it helps the environment. And there are so many things environmentally wrong with the world. I feel like I'm doing a lot of right.
Scientists say that some common pesticides can be harmful to bees. So the next time you're in your garden, be mindful of these small but powerful insects. For KTBS 3 News, I'm Carmen Lofton.